Over the past few years, running shoes have evolved to the point where we now have multiple shoe categories covering every single type of run possible. But do we really need these, or are they just a gimmick? What is up guys, Andy Forrest, Team Runner here. Welcome back to another video, and today we're diving in and talking about whether all these training shoes are just gimmicks or do we really need them? So when the Nike 4% hit the market a few years back, it absolutely started a revolution for the running shoe industry. Things snowballed, we've seen new super shoes from a variety of companies, but not to mention those. We're talking all about the training shoes today, not just the daily trainers that we've seen, not just the speed day shoes, but we've got new categories, we've got new partnerships, we've got new collections of shoes that are meant to serve a full purpose for us runners. But are they just a gimmick, or do we really need all of these types of shoes? Well, we're going to be diving in today and discussing all of that. So if you're excited for the video, please do consider giving it a like, share it with your friends, subscribe to the channel for weekly running content. But first, let's ask ourselves the question, what are these new training shoes? So a couple of years ago, I produced a video talking about how to build your running shoe rotation. And I remember in that video even being questioned back then, why do we need 4 types of shoes for a running shoe rotation? Well, now I can think of at least 6 different types of shoes that you can get, if not 7. Plus, we're being marketed trilogies or collections by companies, which is making things even more convoluted. So I think back then I was talking about long run shoes, speed day shoes, daily trainers, and racing shoes. And some of the comments, as I said, if you can check that video out, they were like, why do you need a separate long run shoe when you already have a daily trainer? Just use your daily trainer for the long run shoe. But back then, that was when I was exploring things like the Speed version 1, the New Balance, it was the TC, wasn't it? That was a great long run shoe. And there are all these shoes coming out there that were designed for us to go longer miles, recover our legs, and that then leads us on to one of the new categories that I'm going to call the illegal shoes, which again is a bigger, more expansive version of that long run area where we can use them for speed work or long runs, but the stack height is in the World Athletics eyes illegal and deemed, if you were really competing for prize money, you would be not allowed to wear these shoes at all because they're over the 40mm stack height. But let's just rewind very quickly. What extra categories have we got? Well, that's one of the categories that I'm mentioning, things like the Prime X from Adidas, things like the New Balance Super Comp trainer, that's well over 40mm. Just a couple of examples there of these shoes that have been designed for training partners to racing shoes, but also with super high stack height to help recover the legs, help you get through the sessions feeling really good, but also you're not allowed to race in them. So it's a bit of a toss up there as to whether you want to invest so much money, because they are expensive, usually over £200 in that type of shoe, or not. I'm not averse to it, but I haven't dipped my toe into that water yet. On the other end of the spectrum, something that really exploded after I recorded that video really was the max cushion shoe area. And that really very much takes the case if we've got a daily trainer and we've got our sliding scale, I love this sliding scale, and we've got our easy pace, we've got our VO2 max work, the daily trainer can kind of cover a easy pace up to sort of moderate, and maybe just dip their toe into marathon pace, but really stay in that bottom end round. Whereas the max cushion shoes, they're very much those easy comfort recovery days, really big stack height, again, really soft cushion foam for you to go out there and rest your legs. So not only have we got the daily, the speed, the long run, the racing shoe, we now have the max cushion at one end, we've got the illegal shoes at the other end, and then of course, as I mentioned, we've got these training shoe collections that are being marketed to us, which kind of feel like, oh, well, if I have 2 out of the 3, I really want 3 out of the 3, which is exactly how I felt when I was very kindly sent the Speed 3 the other week. It meant that I have finished the Saucony collection, and there was that sense of achievement. But then I thought, is this all a marketing ploy? And the max cushion shoe is pretty self-explanatory in terms of it really is an easy day bopping shoe. But let's just very quickly touch a little bit more on these illegal racing shoes and these training partners that are being created and are really coming to the forefront quite a lot more. Because we saw it in the first instance when the 4%, the Nike 4% was released. The Zoom Fly, the very first version, it was the training partner. It had, like, I think it was a nylon plate or a composite plate rather than a carbon plate. And what these training partners do and these illegal racing shoes is they take slices, they take slivers of what these racing shoes have to offer from these companies, and they put them into a training shoe package where we can train in them, not waste our race day shoes, but just kind of take the edge off of those race day shoes. So they might have a carbon plate, they might not. Some of them have nylon plates, some of them have composite plates. It doesn't matter what type of plate it is. There's something in there, but it doesn't quite have the same effectiveness as what we often see in the racing shoes. Similarly with the midsole foam, that might be changed up slightly, so they usually put their premium midsole foam in the racing shoes, and sometimes they might do it in the training partners, but also they might dampen that down or change the composition of the foam, so we don't quite get, again, the same effectiveness. So what we're doing is we're getting used to running in the racing shoe, but not actually racing in it because we're using our training shoe instead. And again, that leads me on to the illegal racing shoes, but clearly seem to be a great training tool for so many people. A massive wedge of foam, really good for recovering the legs, great for getting the training in them, but then really restricting them to not be racing shoes. Now for my level and your level, we can go out there and race in them if we want to. We're not going to get disqualified from a race. It really is if you're competing for prize money or you're at the top end of that field. But ultimately what they're trying to do is, again, kind of evolve that training partner status and then take it to the next level with these bigger stack shoes. But what we're also seeing, interestingly, from New Balance next year is their Super Comp Trainer, the newer version, they're actually bringing that down to back around the 40mm mark. So whether this is just a quick flash in the pan thing or it's here to stay, we shall soon see. Now all that explaining is out of the way, let's answer the question, are these shoes a gimmick or do they really have a use in our training environment, in our training routine, in our training lives? I think the genuine answer to this question is, being brutally honest with you, yes to both of them. I think there's an argument for and there's an argument against, and I think it then comes down to me and you as to what stance we take. I guess the argument for comes down to the fact that we are able to train. It's a really difficult word for me to say. I don't want to say intensity, but potentially a higher level. We are able to push ourselves a bit more because these training tools that we have, the foams that they put in the shoes, they do help our legs to recover better. They do make our legs feel less battered after sessions. What fatigue though is that hiding in our bodies? What fatigue do we feel everywhere else in our body? But because our legs feel good, we think it's okay to go out and train a little bit more. I mean, from my perspective, it is incredible to be able to train in the Speed 3 and then race in the Pro 3. It's incredible to train in the Zoom Fly 5 and train and then race in the Next Percent. I feel very lucky to have those training tools to hand, and I love them. I think they're great, and from that from that angle, I'm all for it. I think that's a great thing. From the illegal shoe section, haven't dipped my toe in there, but again, I'm all for them. I'm not anti them. I just haven't got round to trying any of them yet, but you guys keep shouting at me. Maybe I should try the Prime X or the Super Comp at some point. It's something that I need to explore, but right now, in terms of the training partners side of things, I feel like there's a good argument for. On the flip side, as I just alluded to, what fatigue are they hiding? Does this lead to injury? Who am I to talk? Currently nursing a glute injury. You know, I'm not going to argue the case for or against there, but the other side of the coin really comes down to clever marketing. Is the marketing bad? No. Is it a bad thing? No. Is it clever? Yes, very clever indeed, because that euphoria I had when I unboxed the Speed 3s last week or the week before and completed the shift, the Speed in the Pro, was incredible. And I thought, you've done it, Saucony. You have triggered those endorphins in my brain to make me think, yes, I've completed a set, I feel really good, now I want to get the next set next year. And it's kind of that rolling stone that it can be a dangerous game to play financially, especially for a lot of us. And I think that is kind of where this marketing taps in. I'm just using Saucony as an example. There are plenty of brands that do this, and I think from that perspective there is the marketing element that, for those of you that are against it, you're very good at not falling into that trap, but there is a trap there that can be easily fallen into. So I think there's a good for argument, but there's also a good against argument. So there we go, those are my thoughts on whether these training shoes and illegal racing shoes and all these extra running shoe categories that are coming out are a gimmick, or if they are really useful for us. I think, as I said, there's a good argument for and against, but I would love to hear your opinions. Do you buy into the training partner thing? Do you invest in those shoes? Do you feel they're a really good training training tool for you, or do you stand on the other side of the fence? Do you not buy into that and do you have a real simplistic running shoe rotation and just not interested in trying out any of that type of stuff? I'm really keen to hear your thoughts because I love recording these videos. It's a good opinion-based video. You're hearing my thoughts here and I'd love to hear yours in the comments below. Let me know. Let's talk about it and let's see what you guys think. That's it for today though, guys. I hope you enjoyed the video. If you did, please do give it a like, share it with your friends, subscribe to the channel for weekly running content, and as always, I'll see you in the next one. Until then.